Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shuffle Music Reviews and Retrospectives from a Gracelessly Aging Millennial. My name's Keaton, and here we have another installment in our January 2026 series. We're doing a golden anniversary series of albums that turn 50 years old in 2026. So we're, of course, looking at albums from 1976. And given the recent passing of Bob Weir, I thought it would be fitting to do one of his albums. Now, the Grateful Dead did not have an album released in 1976, but Bob Weir did through a side project called Kingfish. Kingfish, that is the name of the album and the name of the band. Now, a quick note, if you're looking this up on streaming, this is true on Apple Music. I assume it's true on all of these streaming music platforms. They actually have this kind of mislisted. They have Kingfish as the album name, which is correct. But they have the artist listed under Bob Weir. So you actually can't find the band Kingfish on the streaming, at least to my knowledge, at least not on Apple Music. You can find some of their other albums on YouTube, sort of in the deeper corners of YouTube. I found like a bootleg version where a guy just held a phone up to a stereo. So it's kind of tough to find the rest of their catalog, but this one obviously is the centerpiece of the catalog because it features Grateful Dead rhythm guitarist and songwriter vocalist Bob Weir. But the band itself actually does predate Weir's joining. They were founded by guitarist and songwriter Matthew Kelly in 1973. He formed the band with New Riders of the Purple Sage bassist Dave Torbert. New Riders of the Purple Sage was a great sort of folk rock outlet that Jerry Garcia played with in the 60s into the 70s. Their stuff is terrific. And so you had some real sort of creative force behind this album. A few other Bay Area musicians joined this band as well at its founding, Robbie Hodnott and Chris Harold. The keyboardist Mick Ward actually died in a car wreck a year after the band was founded in 1974 and was replaced by Barry Flast. But Bob Weir would join for this album, and he would play on what became their subsequent live album released the following year in 1977 called Live and Kickin'. Weir would leave the band by the time this album kind of made the rounds in 76 when the Dead hit the road again. And the lineup of this band would continue to change over the years. This was essentially a bar band. They started playing, clubs and gigs local to the San Francisco area, and then they did expand touring-wise. But basically, a fun kind of funk, jazz, folk rock band that would play smaller venues. And I'm sure they were a lot of fun to see as that, because the tunes are catchy and fun. Bob Weir and Matthew Kelly would collaborate again in the 80s for another Weir side project called Bobby and the Midnights. And then Bob Weir would actually return to Kingfish for their 1999 album called Sundown on the Forest. But when people think Kingfish, this is obviously the album that they think about, since this was released in 1976, right when the Grateful Dead was at the peak of their popularity, and they actually got, of course, Bob Weir to join the band for this recording and the tour. And so if we go through the track list on this, Lazy Lightning and Supplication, those are the first two tracks on here. Those are actually written by Bob Weir himself, along with his lyric collaborator, John Perry Barlow. Kind of jazzy tracks, kind of a Steely Dan kind of vibe, although obviously not as good as Steely Dan, obviously. And if I'm being honest, these are kind of my least favorite songs on the album. I like more the sort of New Riders, Grateful Dead kind of sound that sort of takes up the midsection of this album, where Weir is actually not doing the bulk of the songwriting. So good example of that is track 3, Wild Northland. Short song, kind of a more folky tune. What does it say there? 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Sounds about right. Sort of an up-tempo folk number by Dave Torbert and Tim Hovey. Kind of sounds more like the Dead and the New Riders stuff. I like that song. Asia Minor, not a weird tune either. That's okay. Home to Dixie is actually co-written by Matthew Kelly and Bob Weir. That's a good song. Some good guitar soloing and harmonica soloing on that. Then you have Jump for Joy, which is a cool tune that kind of sounds like a New Riders Dead kind of song with the vocal melodies, but it's got this cool kind of bass groove under it. Goodbye, Your Honor. Same thing, kind of a boogie woogie kind of bass line. Decent song there. Big Iron is a cover by a country artist named Marty Robbins that has very much New Riders in the Purple Sage kind of sound the way they do it. I dig that one. So the midsection of this album is pretty good, I would say. This time, one of the more forgettable tracks that's written by Matthew Kelly and Dave Torbert. Like I said, the New Riders bassist. Hypnotize. That is one of the standout tracks on here. It's an up-tempo guitar tune where you really kind of do hear that signature Bob Weir rhythm guitar sound, and there's some great lead playing on that as well. At 4 minutes and 35 seconds, that is the longest track on the album. So even though this band was really conceived as a bar band and a live band, you don't really get too much extended jamming on this album. That was true of the Dead as well. I mean, the live versions of their songs sometimes would go 20 minutes or more. Generally, on the studio versions, they kept them concise. That's kind of the blueprint here for the Kingfish album. But Hypnotize, you do get some extended soloing and jamming, and it's fun. It works. That's a fun up-tempo tune. By and By is a traditional song that's recorded in kind of a reggae style. And there you have it. That's the album. Overall, I would say this is decent, if somewhat forgettable. Like I said, they're a bar band. They're a live band. I kind of file this under you kind of had to be there. I'm sure if you saw them live, they were a great time. These were all great players. And I'm sure, just like the Grateful Dead did, they expanded upon these tunes quite a lot on stage and made for a really great time. The album is just okay. Just okay. There were a lot of Grateful Dead studio albums that really fell short of what those songs would become on stage. Not all of them. I think the Grateful Dead did some really good studio work as well. But yeah, this is a somewhat forgettable effort, if I'm being honest. Some good songs on here, though. Like I said, not bad. Not nearly as good, though, as Weir's other solo album here, which is called Ace, which is really a solo album in name only, since he had the Grateful Dead backing him up, recording the tunes, producing the tunes, engineering the tunes. So this is a much stronger effort. But Kingfish might be something that you want to check out if you're feeling nostalgic for some Bob Weir music nowadays. There's definitely some fun stuff on here. Like I said, the midsection of the album, tracks 3 to 8, is actually quite good. It's quite good. It's sort of like a full band plugged in, jazzed up version of New Riders of the Purple Sage, which is interesting as far as it goes. The beginning and the end are weaker. It's a mixed bag overall. But I am putting out actually another entry in this 1976 series by another Grateful Dead collaborator named David Grisman. I'm not sure which I will drop first. Look for it. That came out this year as well. That's a really interesting bluegrass album, so keep an eye out for that one. But I figured we just had to do Kingfish, given the recent passing of Bob Weir, and given the fact that this album turns 50 years old in 2026. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this, don't like this, if you haven't heard it and you want to check it out based on my recommendation, if you want to call it that. Thanks, everybody, very much for watching. Please smash that subscribe button. Keep a lookout for more videos coming soon. 1989, the best of 1989. That is going to be coming out this week. That was another tough one. Another tough one. A lot of interesting stuff going on in 1989. So that's a top 5 list that'll be coming out pretty soon. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and stay tuned. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.